more recycling e-waste.
According to the United Nations Environment Program, over 500,000 tons of discarded appliances are processed in the country annually. In most cases, when the e-waste end up here, residents who are out to make some quick cash scavenge the waste with their bare hands at the risk of their health. Up to 100,000 people work in the informal e-waste sector in Nigeria. I want to meet Usman Sani, who has been picking e-waste off dump sites for 5 years.
How much money do you make in a day?
4,000.
4,000 naira. That's about $11.
Yeah, yes.
So who do you sell all this to?
Get one customer where you can buy for me.
A customer comes here and buys them from you?
Yes.
Even though this may not look like a very big business for scavengers like Usman, there are Nigerians who have made a lot of profit from electronic waste.
Isaac Egu is an e-waste merchant who has been in the business for the last 15 years. It depends on scavengers like Usman for his supplies.
So, how big is your business? By this, I mean, how many people do you have in your employ?
I have like 10 people working with me, and they work from Monday to Friday.
So, on an average in a month, how much profit do you make in this business?
I make like 200,000.
That is more than $500, right?
Yeah, that is it.
It looks like the country is gradually seeing the money side of the e-waste. In June, the Nigerian government, the Global Environment Facility, and the United Nations Environment Program announced a $15 million initiative to kick off a circular e-waste system in Nigeria.
According to studies corroborated by the United Nations Environment Program, there is 100 times more gold in a ton of e-waste than a ton of gold ore. It's not just about gold. E-waste are huge sources of iron, copper, platinum, aluminium. I've come to see how this recycling company in Lagos is helping to turn this e-waste to wealth.
Ifeanyi Chonogo, who runs this recycling facility in Lagos, has been in the business since 2013.
How much waste does this facility handle?
We're approaching a ton every month. Things are looking up because the legislation has come out and the enforcement of that legislation is clear as of this year.
What kind of precious metals do you mine for in this e-waste?
You have various amounts of precious metals, various kinds of precious metals from gold. You have other precious materials such as neodymium. That's a rare earth material that needs to be used to manufacture your hard drives.
How do you make money from all this?
A lot of people need their confidential data managed, from the World Bank to Nigerian government and NPC, whoever you can think of, they need their confidential data secured. That's on a monthly basis. So this is something that I'm glad that the whole of the country is becoming more awake towards and practical as well.
With fast technological advancement making many of these electronics obsolete, chances are they would end up in a dump site. How much do people know about the economic potential in e-waste, along with the dangers associated with continuous exposure to such waste? There is no better place to find out than Nigeria's own Silicon Valley, known as the Computer Village in Lagos. Maduka Anthony has been selling and repairing old electronics, but has no idea of how big the business of unusable electronics is.
How do you dispose of your electronic waste?
We don't have any specific or defined means of disposing those electronic wastes. The only people we dispose it through is those, I call them cat pushers. They normally slug around, asking for the scraps. You know, those are them that we are unable to fix and get it to working again. We sell it off to them at peanuts.
Now, are you also aware that this e-waste can be mined for precious metals like gold, like silver, like copper, like platinum?
Not really. Not much I'm aware about it. Apart from some of those cat pushers, because most of the time after gathering this, they have some dump ground. After gathering those stuff, you see them in this extracting some vital components from it.
While many developed countries are shipping their e-waste to less developed countries, some business-minded people in countries like Nigeria import the e-waste for its economic value. BBC, Lagos, Nigeria.
So that's what happens here. Let's find out how other countries are maximizing potentials from recycling their electronic waste in this week's 360 Roundup.
Ghana adopted the Hazardous and Electronic Waste Control and Management Act in 2016. The policy requires producers and private importers of electronics to register with Ghana's Environmental Protection Agency and pay an advanced eco-levy, which can be up to $15 per goods imported. Collected funds are used to enforce environmental protection. And in Hong Kong, manufacturers, importers, retailers, and consumers share the responsibility for the collection, recycling, and disposal of electronic products. Electronic suppliers must have a removal service plan before making sales. They must also provide recycling label and pay recycling levies. This week's 360 Roundup there. Still ahead here on Gist Nigeria from the BBC and Channels TV. We'll bring you the story of one mother who has set up a foundation to provide free prosthetics to children under 18. Stay tuned.
Nigeria produces more electronic waste than any other country in sub-Saharan Africa, and much of that is imported, arriving each day in shipping containers filled with untested appliances that are often dead on arrival. On a wet day in Lagos, one of those containers has arrived outside Chikodri Michael's business. As the importer looks through computer monitors, buyers and scavengers wait behind him, ready to haggle over the goods. But Michael says most of what they get is junk.
Most of the goods we bring, we cannot even sell them, and most of them are waste. So it's excess use this time around.
According to a report last month from the UN's Global E-Waste Monitor, the amount of electronic waste generated worldwide has surged by 21% over just 5 years to a record 53.6 million metric tons in 2019. Nigeria generated more than 460,000 tons last year. It also imports between 60 and 70,000 tons of used electrical equipment, most of it from Europe. Much of the global e-waste is destined for incineration or landfill with dire consequences for the environment. But some, like Ifeanyi Ochonogor, are fighting back.
From the start of this country, we haven't had really any answer for the electronic waste that we produce. Talk less of the electronic waste that gets dumped on us from outside.
He founded eTerra Technologies, an e-waste recycling, refurbishing, and data destruction service after visiting Computer Village, Africa's largest ICT accessory market in Lagos. It's common in Nigeria to see stores selling worn-out second-hand appliances referred to as tokumbo, a Yoruba word meaning from abroad. Traders also often dismantle these items, oblivious to the fact that the mercury and lead found in some e-waste could harm their health.
We enlighten them to the damage that's being caused.
Ochonogor's business is working to teach traders about the dangers, whilst also collecting and disposing of e-waste using eco-friendly processes. But his factory has the capacity to process just 10 tons a month, far short of the amount Nigeria generates.
This is the hidden side of one of the biggest second-hand markets in Lagos. People here don't want outsiders to see this. Imported electronic items are broken apart and stripped of precious metals like gold, silver, palladium, and other useful parts. They call it urban mining. The unwanted parts are discarded at dumps like this. Nigeria's leading environmental chemist says this crude practice releases toxic chemicals and is a major health hazard.
It's either we are burning or we are just dumping. And these chemicals get released. Now rainy season will soon come. The rain will lift them into groundwater, into river, and then the fishes will pick them up. And you even find livestock grazing in some of these places.
Some of the useful parts end up as reconditioned electronic goods, sold and distributed not just in Nigeria, but across West Africa. But the country is now also creating its own e-waste. One young Nigerian company is leading the way in responsible e-waste and data destruction. This operator is dismantling an old TV which contains hazardous cathode ray tubes. The facility is one of just a few internationally certified electronic waste disposal sites in Nigeria.
We're trying to speak to all groups, all communities, all societies. We're trying to partner with legislators so that all these kind of toxic elements of waste, and this is the most toxic element of waste in actual fact, it actually goes to the right people.
The traders we spoke to are aware of the problems associated with e-waste. One told me customers are driven mostly by price.
The health implications and their usages most times are not being considered by the users. The lack of knowledge, ignorance of the users, and because too, this is what they can afford.
The demand for second-hand goods like mobile phones, laptops, and other electronic equipment continues to be high in Nigeria, especially in these difficult economic times. It's a balance between health concerns, the environment, and people's livelihoods.
Environmentalists are calling on governments in Africa to do more to support sound e-waste management practices and to face the reality of urban mining. Alma Boating, Al Jazeera, Lagos.
In 2002, BAN, the Basel Action Network, uncovered a dirty little secret of the high-tech industry. BAN's documentary film, Exporting Harm, revealed that electronic waste, such as scrap computers, is in fact hazardous waste, and that as much as 80% of the growing mountains of hazardous e-waste collected for recycling in wealthy developed countries is instead exported to Asia. Convenience of a global e-waste trend. Electronics industry has been able to avoid responsibility for the impacts of their toxic products. It has instead been able to pass these hazards and their costs off to some of the world's India.
So mina nafanya na present ile time una present
explosive and toxic acids and dumped. Studies have since shown that these exports are resulting in very serious contamination.
The first day at conference,
3 years after uncovering the high-tech trashing of Asia, BAN's investigative team crosses a shaky bridge over the digital divide to witness incredible amounts of electronic wastes arriving in Africa.
Prepare slides. Yeah, is we center what we do. Then I say the legal and regulatory framework.
Electronic hand-me-downs have been identified by many as a source of needed recycling jobs in developing countries, in turn helping to extend the life of products and also serving as a bridge, enabling access to the information age. However, at the same time, officials in developing countries are increasingly voicing concern that much of what is being exported to is not obsolete, leaving a rapidly growing legacy of toxic waste that burdens the poorest communities, lacking any infrastructure to deal with it. BAN traveled to Nigeria to better understand the truth between these two different views. The second largest city in the world and Africa's most populous city, Lagos, Nigeria, is experienced as overwhelming, overgrown, and overburdened, but a dynamic hotbed of entrepreneurial spirit in a country rapidly becoming hardwired to the information age. No place better exemplifies the latest global trends in the e-waste trade than the massive computer and electronics markets found in Lagos. And nowhere is the love affair with electronic goods, both new and used, more apparent than in the Ikeja Computer Village. Here, in what until recently was a residential neighborhood, the Computer Village comprises 6 hectares with thousands of small businesses that sell, repair, and service anything from imported scrap computers to pirated software to brand new equipment.
This is Otigba Street. It all started here about 10 years ago. We have close to about 4,000 registered members here, and we have them coming here day in, day out.
ICT industry is growing in Nigeria, and it is happening here within the computer village. Talk of anything computer, you get it here. We are going digital.
While the Computer Association likes to emphasize its new products, a vast majority of the Computer Village's business deals with used equipment, mostly imported from Europe and North America. A remarkably well-trained and educated, yet very low-waged labor force provides an impressive ability to repair and remarket the imported equipment.
It has grown tremendously over the years, because I started on the street there, the grass fruit. I have a big place now. I went through the university for about 6 years. I studied physics and electronics. So that gives me a edge in the job.
Most handsets, most sets, we can work on them here. Yeah, most of the phones that come here are off the ship. Okay. See, here, most phones that come into Nigeria are used handsets. Contract handsets from abroad. We have importers. We have some markets in Nigeria where people bring in a large quantity, 10,000, 20,000 pieces. So we are the service end for them.
We have some of our brothers staying in overseas, like in US, in Germany, United Kingdom, Italy, Poland. So they go to warehouses over there and buy some used products there and import it back into the country. Most of them coming from overseas, they have been overused them over there. It's been overused. So even the colors are so brownish that nobody can buy it. So we end up spending money again, buying paint and spraying machine to put them back in shape, to make them look better. Our customers don't know about that.
They think they might be living.
Yes, like this one now. The fish is not working very well.
Weight was bad, the food is very bad.
If we have up to 100 pieces, by God's grace, we get up to 75. Yes, if you open up a container, since they bought it non-tested from overseas, you are trying your luck.
Before leaving the Computer Village, Ban went back to the Computer Dealers Association office to ask the beneficiaries of the burgeoning secondhand electronics trade just how serious was this problem of imported, obsolete junk electronics.
I would tell you that we have greater percentage of those that cannot be used than those that can be used. Honestly speaking, I would say 75% of these items are not usable. The control is supposed to be from the international community, where these things are coming from. If they know they who has the facility to control these junks, allow this thing to come to African countries that have no facilities, then this is all wickedness. If the third world countries are being allowed as a dumping ground for items that are full of toxicity, then we are not helping the world. It is to me inhumanity to man.
The investigative team asked Mr. Oboro where the dealers obtained the imported used equipment. He directed them to large wholesale warehouses and yards near the port where the containers first arrive after clearing customs.
No, there are other warehouses in Lagos. There are other warehouses. They are dotted all over Lagos. But this one is the most popular the most known, and the biggest. In all of Lagos, I would guess about 500 containers of computers are offloaded monthly. The computer revolution, let me use that word, is just coming to play in Nigeria. It is just this year we even started receiving computers in large quantities. In each of the consignments, depending on how it is loaded, we have an average of about 800 pieces. 800 pieces. That's a complete computer set. There are still a lot of junks. There are a lot of junks in Lagos, and if nobody buys them, they get thrown away or used for spare parts.
At the warehouses, the fate of much of the unmarketable imports was revealed. This equipment is seen as worthless, even here in Lagos, and without recycling destinations, piles up in cavernous warehouses, gathering dust. And just outside the gates, dumpsters were found, laden with rejected e-waste scrap. Mr. Ogenekaro was asked if he would like to see laws or standards to ensure exports were functional and of high quality.
Definitely, I want the country where these goods are coming from to at least give us, the developing nation, working items. We should not be classed as a dumping nation where just bring anything that is not good, you just come and throw them here in Nigeria. No. I want them to give us things that is working, things that they will use in their own country, should be what they should export to other countries. Just treat us like one of them. I employ the government of each of these countries where they export from to kindly monitor the items and let us as well be happy.
While the investigative team again witnessed the open cracking of cathode ray tubes to uncover copper from the yolks, unlike the situation in China, there was little other evidence in Nigeria of efforts to recover and recycle materials such as plastics, steel, aluminum, and precious metals. So where did the waste go? The word on the street was that if it was not repairable, it was simply thrown away. The dumpsters located inside the computer village and in many other open markets began to provide a clue. These trash bins are filled each day and trucked to local dumps. In Lagos, official dump sites and countless more informal roadside or wayside dumps abound. None are sanitary, lined, or monitored, and all rest on top of Lagos's very high water table. And these dumps, both formal and informal, are routinely set ablaze to reduce accumulating volumes of trash. It would be difficult to locate each of these scattered dumps throughout Lagos, and even more difficult to quantify the total amount of e-wastes thrown away each day. But a closer look at just a few dumps found outside the markets exposed the horrible face of uncontrolled e-waste importation and management in Nigeria. In numerous dumps wedged between residential apartments or tossed into swampy waysides, the imported techno trash was simply dumped and set afire.
This is what's happening with the waste that cannot be recycled. This is outside, just on the outskirts of the Laba market, the electronics market here in Lagos, Nigeria. This material is being picked over by scavengers to get the last bit of value from the material. Metals, copper, wires will be burnt to extract the copper. This whole pile here, they tell us, is going to be burnt very soon to reduce the volume of it. It's routine that this happens. They'll light it on fire and it'll burn down into the swamp here. We see computers, carcasses here. We see television carcasses from all over the world, from Germany, from USA, from Japan. And this is their final resting place here in Lagos, Nigeria.
I have a problem because when they burn all this, I know that the chemicals are not good for human health. The tube, the plastics are not good. So we have complained over time, but nobody's helping us out.
It's not difficult to learn the identities of those that are careless or who care less about the eventual impacts of their techno trash. Brand names and institutional asset tags remain on the equipment. But even when the tags have been peeled off, it can be shocking to find out what might be hidden below the surface. As part of the investigation into the origins of this waste, BAN purchased hard drives to look deeper, and by so doing raised new questions of responsibility, even beyond the concern about toxic dumping.
Here in Lagos, we've been going from market to market and finding interesting computers
find them. We have the hard drives removed, and we're now going to ship these off to Switzerland for forensic examination.
Guido Rodolfi of Netmon, a site
governmental agencies, be it here, and asked us if we could find something on the display. After